Indians have a real sweet tooth. They love sweetmeats, they love confectionery. I'm going to show you how to make burfee with a slight Harry twist. It's not as sweet as a lot of the Indian sweets you can get, or the mitais you can get. But it is really lovely because I'm going to put a little twist of chocolate in there. So into 200 grams here of dried milk powder. Now, a lot of the Indian sweets are made with a milk base. So this is dried, just normal dried milk powder that you can get from the supermarket. I'm going to pour into there 200 mils of cream. So nice full fat cream. Just scrape all of that out. And I'm going to mix that up. And it's going to just create like a lumpy mixture, really. And that's what we want it to do. So there we go, just mix it and blend it all in. And then you just set that to one side because we'll be using that later on. So just scrape that off. Okay. Then what we want to do is just heat up some butter. I've got 50 grams of butter, just going straight into a warmish pan. Down. Just want that all to melt. Into that I'm going to put in just a teaspoon of ground cardamom, just to get that very Indian-y dessert flavour. So just a teaspoon, well, half a teaspoon of ground cardamom. You can bash up some whole cardamom if you like, but just pop that in. The other thing I quite like to use sometimes is cinnamon in this dish, just because it's got that lovely warming desserty flavour. So take your pick really, you can use either of those. In India, whenever they make any of these desserts, they tend to use something called Ghotra, which is milk that's been reduced down and reduced down. It creates a really thick milk base that you can use. As a real sort of cheat on that, I like to use condensed milk. It gives you the same results, but it's just a lot easier. So just pour that in there, and I've got about 400 mils of condensed milk in there. And that's where the sweetness comes from, so there's no other sugar or anything added to this. Give that a stir through. We're just heating that up a little bit. Then into that I'm going to melt 120 grams of cocoa powder. And this is my chocolate flavouring. If you don't want to do this, you can flavour it with coconut, you can leave it plain. You just need to increase the amount of milk powder you use. But sweets are a really big thing in India. They're given, whenever you go to somebody's house, you take a box of mithai or Indian sweets or sweetmeats with you. Whenever there's a wedding, they're always given out at weddings, birthdays. But there's a real sort of something that's quite special about giving your relatives and your friends Indian sweets within the Indian culture, because it's all about keeping your relationship with that person or those people sweet. So you always offer your friends and family sweets whenever they come to your home. And that's what you're looking for. You just want all of that to melt. And you can really smell the chocolate, which is lovely. There we go. This is a really nice thing to cook with the kids because it's chocolatey, it's fun. There we go. Once all of that chocolate is melted, you just need to pour in your mixture of cream and milk powder. Whoops, dropped a bit on the floor. There we go. And I'm going to just, again, I just want all of this to melt in, so I'm going to turn that up a little bit. So I've got this on a fairly high heat now because I want all of this to melt together. Just control the temperature of it because you don't want it to burn, but you want it to all melt through. See that it's starting to come together. In India, they would dress their sweets with gold leaf and silver leaf. There's so many different varieties and colours of all of these sweetmeats that you can get, and they look so pretty, but they are incredibly sweet. This is quite a nice sort of in-between. So just make sure that it's all mixed up together. And you just want to cook it just for a few minutes until it all starts to almost come away from the sides of the pan. So scrape it all in. And you'll see it starts to glisten. You can see it's starting to get nice and shiny. So make sure you stir that all in. See, who says eating sweets is bad for you? God, it's like having a total workout at the gym. Okay, that's what we're looking for it to come away from the side. I'm just going to have a quick little taste. It's really nice. It's not too sweet, which is exactly what I want. It's got that lovely chocolatey flavour. But it's got that very typically Indian taste to it, which comes from the milk powder and the milk. The way that you would normally serve this up is you would place it out, just pour it out. I'm going to turn that off. So once it's cooked, once we're at this stage, you need to work fairly quickly. And traditionally what would happen is you just put it onto a tray, flatten it out, smooth it out, and just pop it into the fridge, just let it cool down. What I quite like to do is I quite like to pipe it out because it's a little bit more fun and you can create some lovely little shapes. So I'm going to show you how to do both that. Now this is a normal piping bag, but just be careful because the stuff you're putting in is hot. So just make sure you squeeze it out. There we go. And then all you need to do is just squeeze out. Make sure you work while it's hot because it will go hard very quickly. And you can make little flowers, you can make all kinds of fun things and just put them in a little box and take them along with you to your friend's house. They'll be really, really pleased. But look, it's really easy to do. You might want to get a little tea towel because it does get a bit hot. Just squeeze that out. Look at those, they're really pretty. And what's nice about doing it like this is that you haven't got a great big block to chew, you've just got a little tiny piece. And sometimes that's all you want, just a little piece of sweet. So there you go, you've got some little roses, and I like to top those off with a little pistachio, which again is very Indian. So just pop that into the top of each one. And that gives you a little crunch, which works really beautifully with the chocolate. And if you really want to jazz it up, sometimes what I do is I get a little bit of gold luster, just sprinkle that on, because that again is very Indian and it looks really pretty. And the last one is there. So I'm just going to pop that to the side and let those cool. The other thing you can do is you can just take out the mixture and just flatten it out onto a tray like this. It's really nice to work with because it's so and you can just scrape out those last little bits and just flatten it out. It's really easy to work with, so it's great for kids to get in and get their hands in. and have a little play. So you just want to flatten it out, try and make it as smooth as possible. And what I quite like to do is just bash up some pistachios. And the pistachios are great for us older people, but I always find my kids hate them. So what you'll find is that they'll just pick them all out, which is not a problem. But you don't have to use pistachios. You can use whatever you like. So just sprinkle those on. And the colours look great. So you've got that lovely dark chocolate and then that beautiful green from the pistachios. There we go. And then just very gently just press them in so that they... And I can feel that's quite warm. So all I want to do with that is once I'm happy, I'm just going to leave that, pop that in the fridge and let that solidify. It takes, you know, I'd normally leave it for a couple of hours just to make sure I'm happy, and then I'm just going to pull it out and slice it into nice big chunky blocks, and then you just pop that into your biscuit tin and it's ready to share with friends, family, kids, whoever you want to find some other great Indian desserts as well as some lovely spicy hot curries. Subscribe to my YouTube channel because I've got loads to share with you and I'd love for you to have a look and cook along with me.